I am Fletch Brown. Now, long live the legends of Muscle Shoals. And by those, I mean like folks like the Swampers and all those legendary musicians who came through the doors of Muscle Shoals Sound Studios and, of course, Fame Studios. Speaking of, I have on the phone with me, as promised, a man who is making his legend, and he is from Muscle Shoals.
My goodness.
Well, you are. Don't even pretend that you're not. All right? Don't even. He's a Muscle Shoals native.
I'm honored, Fletch.
You may have actually seen him recently. I know I saw I think the most recent thing I remember seeing was the Kitchen just before the pandemic. You know, I got to watch that. And Myk Watford is on the phone with us, who is in Respect, biopic on the life and career of Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. And Myk, you play Rick Hall in this film.
I do. It's amazing. It's amazing, Fletch. It was one of the big honors of my career to be able to play Rick Hall because, as you mentioned, you know, I grew up down there, and like everybody else who grew up down there, I heard all about Rick Hall coming up, and I heard all about the Swampers, and you know, everything, all the music that was made down there, and even had a chance to meet and get to know a lot of them. So having the opportunity to play Rick Hall was a huge honor for me.
Let me ask you, obviously being a Shoals native and being an actor for most of your life,
I did 10 bar for about a month or two.
Well, most actors, I believe, most actors, I believe, do, don't they?
Yeah, I got lucky. It was only a month or two.
So while you were still here in the Shoals, did you ever have opportunity to be a part of, in any way at all, the Muscle Shoals music scene here while you were here?
I did. I didn't while I was growing up, when I was a kid down there. But I was able to be a part of it a few years ago at UNA's summer theater program. We created a show called Muscle Shoals, I'll Take You There. And it was the story of the music that was made there. It was largely about Rick Hall. It was about Jimmy Johnson and you know, David and you know, everybody, Spooner, and I actually got to perform that for Rick. This was shortly before he passed, and as far as we know, that show had nothing to do with his passing. At least that's what I'm telling people. Mm-hmm. But it was a big honor to be able to do that, and it was a part of the Handy Festival, and we had some great musicians come down. Charlton James was a part of that, who used to head the theater program down there, and I know that you know Charlton.
Yes,
and
yes,
you know, it was a lot of fun. That was a big honor, and that's when I really got to know those guys. You know, I had met a few of them, and obviously knew about them, but I started getting to know them then, and continued that relationship through, and it really deepened when I was doing my research for Respect.
All right. Well, that's actually was going to be my very next question. Obviously, people would assume you just stepped right into the role and immediately just started becoming Rick Hall. But we both know that, you know, acting is a lot more complicated than that. What did you have to do on top of just what you already knew growing up here to find the character of Rick Hall? What was important to you to bring out in your performance?
Well, the most important thing to me was to talk to and listen to the people that knew him best. That was the most important thing. And now you can't do a performance trying to please everybody in the family when you're doing a real someone who's actually existed. But it does mean a lot to me that I got a chance to talk to Linda Hall and Rodney Hall quite a lot, and I was able to help get them and Spooner and David and their wives on set while we were shooting the Muscle Shoals stuff in Atlanta, and it meant a lot to me that Linda and Rodney gave me their blessing. They told me the stories unabridged, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and they wanted me to really portray Rick in an accurate sense. And they were just happy that it was a hometown boy that was portraying him, I think, and that meant a lot to me. So I was very happy to have been able to please them. Rodney saw the movie and called me immediately and congratulated me and said that I really nailed his father, and they were very, very proud and very happy about that. So, I'd say listening to the stories, trying to get everybody who knew him talking, and that's something else, when you get to sit and listen to Linda and Rodney and Spooner and David and all of those guys. And I'd heard a lot of stories from Jimmy before he passed about Rick as well. I knew Jimmy pretty well from when I'd come down to do the I'll Take You There. And, they all had their own take but on Rick, but it all kind of circled around the same thing. He was a real tough character. He worked them really hard, but they all told me that at the end of the day, they'd have never been what they were in the music industry if it weren't for Rick Hall.
Well, if you're from the Muscle Shoals area, like the Muscle Shoals documentary came out, a lot of people were like, really, that happened here? And I mean, you can live here your entire life and not know because the story is just so big. What did you learn? What was probably something that you learned while finding this character, finding the man that was Rick Hall and delving into this history that you didn't know, that you were like, wow, I didn't know that? I'm
trying to tell you what I learned, Fletcher.
Without spoilers?
Well, no, and using words I'm allowed to use on live radio.
Okay.
No, he was, as I said, the first thing I learned about Rick that I didn't know was really how driven he was, and in some cases how really hard he was on his musicians. David Hood told me a story about I believe it was him that was having an anniversary. He'd been doing sessions and he had an anniversary. So he took his wife to the movies, and Rick sent somebody to get him and dragged him out of the movies to go record a session. He said, "You got a session, get out of there." And so, I mean, he worked them hard. And sometimes I think, it was aggravating to them to an extent. And, Linda and Rodney were the first to tell me that those stories were true about him. He was very driven because he came from so little, and I think he had a chip on his shoulder about that coming up. And he wanted to prove to everybody what he could do. And he carried that with him. The way I know it, he carried that with him his entire life, and that's why he became the man that he is, because he wanted to show everybody that he wasn't that kid who grew up with a dirt floor in the woods of Alabama. That he was something more than that.
Myk Watford is our guest today. He is a Muscle Shoals native. You can see him in the upcoming biopic Respect from MGM Pictures in association with Braun Creative and One Community. It'll be in theaters next month, August 13th. There is a screening of it tomorrow night at AMC 12 here in Florence, but you can buy tickets online if you go to MuscleShoalsMusicAssociation.com. There, Myk, you're not actually in town, so you won't actually be able to make the screening, will you?
It's a bummer. No, I'm not. I come in town next week, so I just missed it.
All right. Well, hopefully,
I'm hoping to see you when I get in town.
Well, I was just going to say our door is open, so when you get here next week, you make plans to stop in here, Big River Broadcasting. We'll talk again, okay?
We'll do it.
All right. Myk Watford, you can see him as Rick Hall, legendary producer Rick Hall, in Respect with Jennifer Hudson. We'll talk with Myk again next week. Myk, thanks for calling in. Real quick, are you working on anything else that, the folks of Muscle Shoals who are real proud to have you up there can be looking forward to?
Funny you asked that, Fletch. I am. I'm going to. I'm going to be directing my first film. It's a film that I wrote, and I'm going to be shooting most of it in the Muscle Shoals area. Hopefully, within the year. We're still planning it out. We'll be down there shooting. Hopefully, at some point in the late fall, and I can't tell you much more specifically about it than that, but it is a Southern story, and it's something that I'm really, really proud of, and hopefully we're going to have the support of the community when we come down there to shoot it.
All right, well, whatever you need from us here at Big River, you make sure you let us know, and we'll see you next week, okay?
I will do. We'll talk to you then, buddy.